Hi, everyone. It's Peter Kraut of Silver Advisor with another episode of Pay Dirt Podcast, where we interview management of companies that we recommend, but also personally own, track, and report on. And today I'm joined with Jim McDonald, president of Kootenay Silver. Jim, thanks for speaking with us on your latest and very big news.
Yeah, well, real big news. So the maiden resource finally out on Columba. People have been anticipating this for some time. An excellent start. 54 million ounces inferred. Really good grade at 285 gram or 84 grams, and huge upside. All the zones are wide open for expansion. We haven't even found the limits of any of them. So the potential for this thing to grow and grow significantly is fantastic, in fact.
Well, the market certainly seems to like it. You're up 40% year to date, which is, I mean, a lot of, to be fair, a lot of silver juniors are up significantly. But even in the last few days where, you've, together with the Maiden Resource, you've also announced a big financing. And you weren't dented. Your share price was not dented. It was quite the opposite. And that's bucking the trend, and also I would say, a huge vote of confidence for Kootenay, and wonderful to see. So maybe you can speak to that a little bit, and then you can tell us a little bit more about the resource, and give us some specifics about grades and so on. So I'll just let you speak to that.
Yeah, so great. The obviously the resource was really well received. On the back of it, immediately we there was a bought deal announced, 12 million, upsized very quickly to 17. From 12 million, the book was two or three times probably. So the demand in the silver is there, and that is also a statement as to the resource. And then the from the finance price and the bounce back on our stock, the bounce back in the price of our stock is also a statement as to the strength of that resource and the quality of the investors coming into the deal. So really, really good response. I mean, the resource, as I said, is wide open for expansion. It's the kind of it's really an emerging vein district, we believe, and not recognized before because it is barely exposed by erosion. You're just in the erosional lows on the property, which is a basin or an old volcano basin. You're just seeing the top of the veins where they become productive. Anywhere along laterally along the sides and upward, you lose it. So it's not evident, although it's there at depth. You got to drill down to that level of around 1,700 or 1,800 meters above sea level and deeper, and that's where it is. It's almost hidden. So, we've believed for quite some time that we've got a project that'll hold 100 million ounces of silver or maybe multiples of that. It's got the scale for it. This resource really shows that potential to be real. All the principal veins that making up the resource right now are open to expansion. So the next drilling is just going to go into those areas, very low hanging fruit, and systematically keep following that until we find the limit. Then there's lots of other veins and intercepts scattered around the property that haven't been followed up. That will be sort of the next stage of priority. And then those veins we don't even have drill holes into yet. One other thing about the resource is the width of the veins are excellent. So that really impacts what the potential mining cost could be. You got wide veins like we do, the mining cost is much lower, and your cutoff grade is much lower. So we used a very reasonable cutoff grade at 150 grams. And for underground mining in Mexico, that's a very reasonable cutoff, even for narrow veins. And the average of all these veins in the resource right now are between 5 and 6 meters, the average of put together. So the variation goes from a couple meters up to over 40 meters in true thickness, depending where you are. So really great mineral system, really good, really good. The characteristics of the resource are very positive uh, for the potential economics. So the next steps are get back drilling, lots and lots of drilling. We've drilled 50,000 meters so far. And now with the new financing, once it's closed, we'll go back and start again. And that's enough money for another 50,000 meters. So doubling the amount of drilling we've had. And the targeting is immediate because just continue following what we have. It's open this direction, and that direction. Uh, yeah, either there, or all of it. So tremendous opportunity here for us. Get back drilling, do a resource update, evaluate that. Is it ready for PA or not? Grow it to the size that will support a positive PA and move down that path. So that's the immediate plan over the next several months, and we're ready to get going.
Well, so that brings up two questions for me. One is, so you mentioned the vein widths, that's quite impressive. Can you give us an idea? One, well, you can tell us the average grade of the silver, but also maybe some of the range. So that's my first question. I'll let you go there.
So yeah, we have a sensitivity table in our press release, which sets out different cutoff grades. So lower cutoff grade, you pick up more ounces and your average grade goes down, and the opposite, higher cutoff grade, number of ounces goes down, grade goes up. Lower cutoff grade, ounces go up, grade goes down. 150 grams, we picked that because that's a realistic type of cutoff grade for actual mines in Mexico, narrow veins. And our veins are not narrow; they're really good width, on average. So, like I said, between 5 and 6 meters. And so at 150 grams, we got 54 a cutoff. We've got 54 million ounces and at a 284 gram average. Really good. Take the cutoff grade from 150, go to 250. There's 34 million ounces at almost 400 grams average. So real nice, strong deposit that there's a real high grade core to these zones, and which is another very positive feature of what we have, because if you can sequence those high grade cores early on in a mine plan, it pays back the capital a lot quicker. And so it allows you to do a lot of things in mine planning. And so it's just the characteristics of this property are just so exciting, and particularly the upside of expanding what we have is it's quite incredible. So we're pretty excited to get back there and start drilling again.
And so you should be. You've answered a lot of my questions already. One of them that came up was to me was, you said that with this new financing, you're looking at doing another 50,000 meters. And my question would be to you, given what you've accomplished so far with, say, 50,000 meters, is it fair to say that to do the next 50,000 will be significantly more productive?
Well, yes, because and even the last drill program was so productive. Practically every hole was hitting something and expanding on the number of silver ounces that we were defining. So this next round, the immediate, so 50,000 meters, 30,000 meters will go right into those veins that are making up the bulk of the resource, like the D vein in particular, which has 31 million ounces in it nearly, and just wide open in all directions essentially. So we just go back there and continue, step out 100 meters, 100 meters, 100 meters in general till we find the edges. And the depth extent on that particular vein, which means you have the same potential across the property. We've drilled a panel about 250 meters vertical, and underneath that, it's got very little drilling, but we have one big exploration hole. We put down 300 more meters underneath that, and we hit. So that structure keeps going for at least that depth and is still going. So the growth potential there, the immediate growth potential is really good. has implications across entire property too, because those other principal structures will likely, or some of them at least, will likely go down that deep as well. So it really opens up what this thing might eventually be.
So Jim, given what you've explained so far, there must be some analogs. What other districts do you see Columba most resembling, and how big are they?
Well, it's a classic epithermal vein system. They're very classic epithermal vein systems in Mexico. High-grade silver with some base metal showing up, some lead zinc. And the scale of the area we see the veins covering is 4 kilometers by 3 kilometers and maybe even bigger. So that kind of aerial scale is similar to what Vizsla, the Panuco discovery at 300 million ounces silver equivalent. The Las Chispas mine, which was just bought out, Coeur just bought out Silvercrest for that mine. That's similar footprint at 140 million or ounces in the resource category. So we've got the scale for that kind of thing. So the 100 million ounce district or multiples of that even. Every district's got its own unique characteristics, are not never all exactly the same. Las Chispas is really high grade gold and silver and gold and narrow, quite narrow veins. Vizsla has got a lot of base metal, gold, silver, and we've got right now so far silver dominant and some just excellent widths going for us. So uh, classic vein system, huge upside, lots of good analogs, but every deposit's unique unto itself.
Sure. That's something that I want to point out maybe for viewers is that that's something that stood out for me is that when I looked at this maiden resource, it's really almost all silver, which is fantastic and quite rare, I would think too.
Yeah, it is pretty rare to be so pure silver deposit. It's not that common. And it's very common for these epithermal systems to transition into more base metal rich as you go deeper.
Hmm.
And so we do have some pretty significant base metal intercepts along with the silver in some select areas. So maybe we're going to see a transition like that. We'll find out. The next round of drilling will really flesh out that part of the story, which is unknown currently.
Sure. So can you just summarize for us what kind of catalysts can interested investors watch for over the next few quarters or so?
Drill results. There'll be lots of drilling, lots of drill results. So that's the focus to
Okay.
take this maiden resource and grow it.
Excellent. Jim, this has been a fantastic overview. It's really exciting to see what Columba and what Kootenay, has evolved to. I'd like to maybe end on a bit of a lighter note, and I'd like to know if you can share with us some kind of an anecdote from inside or from outside of mining that really relates to Kootenay or the markets in general. You have some ideas.
Well, yeah, so right now the wind's at our back, so to speak. For Kootenay certainly with the new discovery, but also the silver market. We've seen that a sh very big shift here, and the wind's in the sails of the silver market. But as we know, that it's a difficult industry, and you have to basically have a lot of tenacity and never ever give up. It was just 2.5 years ago or so, we were facing a really tough capital market. Nobody much interested in sort of the risk capital for mining or exploration. Silver was down around $20. We had a final looming payment that looked enormous, 2.3 million US to make, and very little prospects. It was really hard to put together $1 million. And thanks to the help of our bankers, research at the time, and Red Cloud too, We were able to put that together, but boy, it looked tough. And when you're facing those things, you just never give up. You just keep looking, keep knocking on doors, keep banging away. We learned that a long time ago, over 25 years ago now. We bought an out of the money gold deposit in Mexico called Mulatos with a junior called National Gold. 4 million ounces in resource, 2.2 million ounces in a pre-feasibility study. Out of the money because you needed around 325 gold, $325 gold. Gold was 280. We bought it against debentures that were due on time periods. And we had this looming payment, and it was $250,000, which doesn't sound like much today, but was a lot because you couldn't even get a meeting with somebody on a gold property. And we were at the PDAC. We had about 10 days to make this payment, or we were going to lose the property. And we lined up all these companies to come see us. We had three or four companies coming, like mining companies coming to site the next week. I went down there to conduct those visits. It was an 8-hour drive in, zero communication, not even a radio at site. We got in there with the last group. It was Barrick Gold. 2.5 days of touring with them. The second day was the day the payment was due. And the third day, we either owned the property or we didn't. And I had no idea if we did. The third day, Rob Brown with Barrick, they sent their A team down there. Cornsey, Rob, and I think it was Dave Heberline. And Rob looks at me and he says, "Man, you guys must be so jacked up and excited to have this property. I can't believe you guys got this project." And I was smiling, nodding my head, and through my kind of gritted teeth, thinking to myself, yes, I wonder who owns it today. Because I had no idea if we made the payment or not. Albert Matter and some of the other directors and my wife were in Vancouver uh, doing stock swaps and running around getting checks and taking to the bank. And they long and the short of it is we drove out 8 hours that day, got back to town. Picked up the phone, I phoned, and they answered. I said, "Well," they said, "We did it.
Oh
Okay,
man.
we own it."
Yeah,
So
tenacity
never
is
ever give up.
exactly. You're right. That is a great story of tenacity and how it can and often will pay off. Jim, this has been a great, we've done a great tour of the latest developments at Kootenay. I really appreciate your time for this. It's a great update, and we'll watch for ongoing news and we'll look to catch up again soon. Thanks really very much for your time.
Yep. Thanks, Peter. Appreciate it.